Welcome back, everybody. This is thejonnymar, and I am continuing with Final Fantasy III. And look, a potion. So in this episode, we are going to be starting off by exploring the home village of Luneth, which is or Ur, or however you want to pronounce it. And so there's a ton of items that we can actually pick up in this particular village before we head out and go searching for Ark, who we met in the last episode. So we're going to head down into this well, and we're going to pick up a couple of treasure chests, or a few chests, I guess. And all of them contain potions. Woo! Certainly appreciated, of course, early on in the game. So definitely nothing to sneeze at anyway at this point. Now we're also going to head into the inn and talk to pretty much everyone in town. They'll give you a little bit of dialogue. You'll notice that you can stay for free at the inn. And also that there is an item salesman in this particular place, and that tends to be par for the course with most of the inns in the game. Now we are going to pick up some eye drops because there are some enemies that can actually blind us in the very near future. We don't have to worry about antidotes because we will actually get some from various pots and things like that in this particular town and in the next town. Now if you're playing the NES version of this game, the Famicom version, this guy will tell you about your jobs in this version as well as in that version, but there are actually more potions that you can pick up in this particular inn. And so some of the pots and some of the bookcases and things like that will also have potions in them. They got rid of them in the DS version. Now going through this door, we have access to a cafe, a bar, and numerous people we can talk to. The earthquake blocked off the route to Canaan, which is going to come into play in a little bit when we actually get to the next town and we meet another character who will have a very familiar name to Final Fantasy veterans. Now, we can't talk to the guy behind the bar for whatever reason. Yes, we are going to bring some items with us to make sure we can get rid of negative magic effects. And then we're going to hang out and actually try out the piano here. We get some jeering. Now that's random. He either plays poorly or he plays okay. And basically you'll get a different reaction depending on which you get. Now we also have a dancer. Now unlike Final Fantasy V, there is no quest to sort of find all the pianos in the game to unlock a song for the Bard class or anything like that. It's just kind of a one-off. Then we have the dancer here who does a wonderful little routine, so thank you very much for that. Again, not quite like Final Fantasy IV, where there's like seemingly a dancer in every single town in the game that will show off a unique dance for you. Now, in the last episode, we talked to that old guy there, and he mentioned that there is a building back here with some items in that we could use on our journey. Now, before we head in there, you're actually going to want to come down here to the waterfront and pick up some more items. Zoom in here, and you'll notice that that potion was actually in that particular place. You would have gotten a sparkle effect. And then heading into the building, we'll talk to this old man. Lots of old men in Ur. And he'll again note that there are switches that you can find. We've already received this tutorial, but they really want to stress this point that it's important to look for those. And it is, because there are certain points in certain dungeons where you cannot progress unless you do this. So it's important to know this. So you'll notice that the candle holder there is sparkling. We will hit that in a second. First, we're going to head over to the pots to our left, and we're going to grab some more items, including some antidotes. So if you zoom in, you'll notice we have some sparkles. We get an antidote, as well as another antidote. Good deal. So we'll hit the candle, and that will drop this particular wall into the abyss, I guess, or the void. And then we'll head through the new passage. No items hidden in this particular little area, but up in the next area after the stairs, we have numerous chests that we can open. So we get another longsword. That's nice. We get the cure spell, which is really nice. And then we get a few more items. So we get some eye drops, as well as a dagger. Not too useful. And then a Phoenix Down, which is very useful. So as I mentioned in the last episode, you do not have the ability to buy Phoenix Downs in this game, so we do want to stock them and sort of keep them for emergency situations. Now, since Luneth is a freelancer, and I warped back out to the outside. I didn't actually warp, I just did some editing. And I'm gonna check out the item shops here and show them off, kind of the different equipment. But in essence, remember that freelancers can learn level 1 white and black magic. So that means Luneth can actually learn Cure, which is useful. And this game does use a spell charge system, which I alluded to last time. So unlike other games in the series which have MP, where you have kind of a pool of MP that all of your spells pull from, this game, like a few others, uses spell charges, which means at each level of spell that you have, you actually will have a certain number of casts of that particular level. And once you use up all the casts for that level, you no longer can use that level of spell, regardless of what spells you use at that particular level. So you have to really be careful about managing that. Now, it's not as punishing, certainly, as the first game in this series if you play the original, and we are going to buy the Poisonous spell, because essentially you will get quite a few spell charges, depending on the class. And that is good. In the original, you maxed out at 9 if you played the NES original, and that was very, very limiting, especially for the higher level spells. So in this game, many more options available to you, so spell casting classes are much more viable than perhaps they were in the original. Although in the remakes of Final Fantasy I, certainly they switched over, unless you played the PSX version, they switched over to the MP system, which again, generally is a lot more forgiving and a lot easier to sort of use for casual players. So the last thing we want to do here in town is find out about Kazus, which is cursed, and all of the townspeople are dealing with a particular issue. But we want to head in and talk to the elders. So this house has a couple of recovery pools. The one on the left will actually recover your health as well as your MP. And the one on the right of the room will actually revive anyone who is dead. So that's certainly helpful. Again, remember that revival is very limited in this game until you get the raise spell. And obviously Phoenix Downs are very limited, so you don't want to overextend with those and use them too early in the game. So now we're going to meet our adoptive parents, Nina. Notice she does not have wings, so this is not Breath of Fire, unfortunately. And then our adoptive father, who is actually the head elder of this particular town. So we're told to treat Nina with respect. Certainly we will. We're a good boy. We're not a troublemaker. We're the hero of the world. We're not an anti-hero. We're not a cloud, for example. And then we meet Elder Topapa. So he asks us about the crystal encounter. Says it's not happenstance or chance. This was at the crystal's will. Apparently this was fated because we are some sort of special child. And now we have to head out into the world and try to save the world, essentially. Because trouble is afoot. Evil is around. And we get a little of the backstory created for the remakes, noting that Luneth was left off in town by a traveler and then was adopted by the elder here as well as his wife. And I will certainly use my power for good. So there we go. So now we just have to find the rest of our party members. So we know where one went. They went to the next town over, Kazus. So we'll be heading there next. But before we do that, let's talk to this old man again. And he will again give us a little bit of a tutorial, noting that you can use items sometimes when talking to people. So if we use a potion on him, he will give us a special item, which is a Phoenix Down. Now in the original, in the NES version, you got an echo screen and you could do it over and over and over again. In this version, you can only do it once. So I'll meet you outside of town. All right, so I did a little bit more shopping, picked up a few more items, and got a few more long swords, as well as some bronze bracers for our future party members. So that is very helpful for us because that'll allow us to equip them once we actually encounter them. So we're gonna head south here to the next town. Unfortunately, we got an enemy encounter. So let's head into town and we will talk to Ark. Now, we can run around him, we can look at him from the front, and Ark does not acknowledge us at all. And we can even talk to him from the front, but of course, being a story-driven event, we are going to sneak up on him, seemingly, and scare him from behind. Sorry, Ark. Don't be afraid. There's certainly many other things in this world to be afraid of besides me. So Ark's like, I gotta do this. I gotta do this. Please let me come with you. And we're like, yeah, sure. That sounds good. The more the merrier, right? So we'll ponder, but certainly we will bring you along. We don't want to go out on our own. We're not a loner. Again, we ain't Cloud. Or Squall, I guess. So now we have Ark in our party, also a freelancer. We will equip him with a few of those longswords we picked up, as well as the extra bronze bracer. And now that we're in this particular area, we also want to give some magic to him so that he can utilize his spell charges at each level, which you do get spell charges back when you rest. But we'll notice a few things. So we have some item shops. You can't access them yet because the citizens are actually ghosts. We actually have a hidden passage over here to the left. And in this hidden passage, you will find some items, including some armor, as well as some consumable items. So we get the staff, we got a mithril helm, and if we run through the trees here to the back, touch this particular tree, we will get a Zeus's Wrath. So of course that is a thunder spell that you can use one time in battle, sort of like the Antarctic Wind. Now, if we head into the different buildings, we will find different things. So this is a recovery spring, which again allows you to recover your HP and MP. So there is no revival spring in this town. So be aware of that. If you do have a dead party member, you're going to have to go all the way back to Ur. Now the house at the back here is the blacksmith. So let me show off the ghost effect here of Taka. He says, I don't have any mithril rings. Well, we don't know why we would need a mithril ring. But apparently that's somewhat helpful in dealing with this curse that has turned all of them into ghosts. Which again, a very unique effect, right, for ghosts. They're kind of outlined, not the traditional ghost you would expect. Now in the NS version, you can actually run into the wall there. There's not really anything in there, so it's kind of weird that it's there. And then we can also pick up a potion. Now the cave at the back you want to avoid. We will be going in there eventually, but the enemies in there are way too powerful for us at this point in the game. So I think the idea was you were going to come into the inn/pub here first and talk to the citizens of this particular town to get more information about the Djinn who has cursed the town because he does not like mithril, and this town actually is mining mithril. We'll grab a potion, and we'll avoid the guy right in front of the bar because that is the key person we need to talk to. So we'll talk to him last. So let's talk to everyone else. Essentially, we need a mithril ring in order to banish the Djinn and lift the curse. But the blacksmith cannot make the ring because he is a ghost, has been cursed. So the question is, where can we find the ring? And we find out about the blacksmith's daughter, who has disappeared. Well, that's helpful. Maybe she has a mithril ring with her, or maybe she wasn't cursed, so maybe she can make us a mithril ring. So we have hope. Now let's talk to our last person here in front of the bar. And although you can't see him, this is actually Cid. So not Cid like in Final Fantasy II, more like the traditional Cid from some of the other Final Fantasies. Kind of the lovable, bearded, kind of gruff, somewhat friendly kind of version of Cid. So again, continuing the namesake that started in Final Fantasy II or was retconned into the remakes of Final Fantasy I. So no mithril rings, we have to find one. And he's actually going to help us in our quest by giving us access to his airship. So we're actually getting an airship pretty early in the game. Now, most Final Fantasies, you do not get an airship until, you know, about the halfway point of the game, or sometimes even later in the game. Now, he notes that the airship is in the desert to the west, and that is directly west of town. So we are going to use that. So if we head west of town, we'll head into a secret spot, and here is Cid's airship. And there is the blacksmith's daughter, Refia. So indeed, she has not been cursed. She was skirting out on her duties, did not want to do them. She ran away from town, which apparently she does frequently because she doesn't like being a blacksmith. And that kept her from being cursed. So we will stick with her default name. I like how it's like, ran away from home, again. She's got her nice little pose there. So Refia's like, I need to help. I need to do something. I feel guilty because I ran away and everyone else ended up cursed because of it. Now, obviously not because of it, but certainly she had some luck there, right? And Luneth is actually going to note that her unwillingness to sort of do her job of being the apprentice kind of led to this fortuitous situation where she did not get cursed. So although she can't make a mithril ring, she does note that there was one given to the king of the castle in this area, which kind of oversees everybody in this particular region. And if we talk to the king, maybe he would allow us to borrow the ring. So that's our quest. Talk to the king, see if we can get a mithril ring to lift this curse. So we're going to do that in the next episode. So although we now have access to a airship, as Refia wants to join our party, and what do you think? Are we going to let her? Certainly, because her luck might rub off on us. I love that line. She does not. She doesn't think that's funny. But this airship is somewhat limited. It cannot actually travel over any sort of mountain. It's limited because they don't want you to have full access to the world yet. So you're stuck in kind of just this particular little area. So we're going to equip Refia. Same sort of stuff, long swords as well as a bronze bracer. And we do also have that mithril helm to eventually equip on someone as well. And then we'll give her our last magic spell, which is sleep. So again, she can use up her spell charges. So let's head to the castle. In my next episode, we'll talk to the king. We'll see if we can find a mithril ring. And we'll see if we can lift the curse in this particular little town. And maybe get our final party member. Go over the mountains! So as always, viewers, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all next time. That's interesting. Boulder blocking our way. So long.